Hey, this is Tony Kegger. I'm here with a review of the Paul Heyman Blu-ray. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman. I just got this on last Friday. It's the Blu-ray is hard to find. I'm glad I got this. Now here's the back. Let me show you a little bit. So I'm just gonna give you a quick review of the documentary and give you a little review of the Blu-ray extras. I've seen both now. I'm not going to go into too much details about the documentary. I'm not going to spoil anything or go into any details about what happens in the documentary. I'll let you watch it and find out what happened for yourself. But here's my review. I thought this was a very good documentary. It's not like the greatest documentary that we've ever done. I would put the CM Punk documentary and the Stone Cold Steve Austin documentary ahead of this one. But compared to the recent documentaries I've seen the Mick Foley documentary, I've seen the Triple H documentary, and I would put this one ahead of those two. So it's one of the better ones in the last couple years. Best one since the CM Punk one, in my opinion. And the CM Punk one was released in 2012, I think. I think it's also better than the Rock one. And it's the second time WWE's released a documentary on a wrestling manager. The other one was the Bobby Heenan documentary that was released in 2010. That one was only about an hour long. I've seen that one too, and this one's much better than the Bobby Heenan one. I don't remember the Bobby Heenan one too much. I just remember it was short. It was an hour long documentary, and it was only 4 years ago, the Bobby Heenan one, but WWE documentaries have gotten so much better in the last 4 years. They do a really good job with their documentaries. They put a lot of hard work into them, you can tell. And what I liked about this documentary is that they found a lot of good footage of Paul Heyman. A lot of rare footage that I've never seen before. A lot of rare photos too. They show photos of Paul Heyman when he was younger. Because when he was younger, his career started when he was really young. He started off as a photographer. He was taking photos at Madison Square Garden shows for WWF. He wasn't working for WWF, but he had a press pass, and he was ringside taking photos. And he was able to get in the locker room. He was really young age. I'm not gonna say how young he was, but it was young enough that I'm surprised he was allowed to do it. And what's cool thing about Paul Heyman here. Cool thing about Paul Heyman is his career as a wrestler. His wrestling career has been pretty interesting. I've known some stuff because I listened to Paul Heyman's podcast interviews with Chris Jericho and Steve Austin. So I thought I knew the whole story, but I found some stuff about Paul Heyman I didn't really know before. Specifically, his whole wrestling career. Let me give you an example. So what Paul Heyman's done in his career. He started as a photographer, then he was a promoter for a nightclub in New York. Then he was an announcer for some indie companies. Then he was a manager. Then he went for WCW and I think AWA. Then he was an announcer for WCW. Then he was manager again for WCW. Then he was a promoter for ECW. Then he was an announcer for WWF, a manager for WWF, a writer for WWF. Then he became the head booker for OVW, and then he became a manager again for WWE. So he's been a photographer, he's been a promoter, he's been an announcer, he's been a manager, and he's been a writer. Has there ever been anyone in the history of wrestling who's done all 5 of those things? Has anybody ever done 4 of those things? It's amazing how much. So if he never panned out as a manager, he could have always been a writer. If he never panned out as a writer, he could have always been a promoter. If working as a promoter never worked out, he could have been an announcer. If that didn't work out, he could have been a photographer. He did not get lucky. This guy earned his job in the wrestling business. This guy, he was destined to be in the wrestling business. Some guys get lucky breaks. This guy, he earned it. There's nothing lucky about it. Because he was so good at so many different things. It's amazing. But, so let's see, what else can I say about this documentary? It wasn't too shocking. I learned some new stuff, but nothing wow, I can't believe they let him say that. Some things a little bit, but nothing too shocking. And the big thing was, how he left WCW and how he left WWF. He didn't explain it. He said like how like he left WCW and that before he joined ECW. But he never went into details like how he left WCW and he left WWE in like 2006. He didn't come back until like 2012, and he didn't go into details like he said he had some kind of dispute with Vince McMahon, but he didn't go into details like what happened. So nothing like big there. He didn't like go into anything like if you want the whole like Paul Heyman story, if he ever writes a book, that's where you're gonna get the whole story. This gave you he said most of the story in this documentary, but I think if he ever tells the whole story, it'd be in that book. This one he tells a lot of his story, but I think he still left some stuff out. And as for like taking shots at WWE, like stuff like you just probably WWE wouldn't like want him to say about stuff. He did take some shots at WWE. He took shots at like I'm not gonna say like where he took shots at, but there was stuff that happened in the past. Like he didn't say anything bad about today's product. It's not like he took shots at the WWE network. I mean, he didn't even talk about the WWE network, but you know what I mean. Like it's not like he took shots at stuff that currently happening. Like you've seen all the time, WWE takes shots at the XFL because it's over and done with. They make fun of it all the time. So he made fun of stuff that happened like in the past, but stuff that's happening now, he just praised WWE. So nothing negative. So WWE was still portrayed in a positive light. Current WWE. He didn't say like, oh, PJ sucks. Like this company is like doing bad. He needs me back as a writer. No, he said like very optimistic about the future and says like they got like good people in WWE. I love the stuff about Paul Heyman. They talk a lot about Paul Heyman in WCW. Yeah, they talk about him in WCW, but spent a good amount of time talking about him in ECW, which is pretty good. A lot of good ECW footage, like him in the locker room and talking to ECW talent. A lot of cool behind the scenes footage that I never seen before. That was really cool. I like the stuff about him, like writing for SmackDown. Really cool, like how competitive he was when he was writing for SmackDown and everything. And it really made you wish, like they should do it nowadays with SmackDown. They should bring back the brand separation and have someone like as passionate as Paul Heyman writing for SmackDown. SmackDown's like a joke right now, and really hearing Paul Heyman talk about how like a genius he is and everything with writing makes me wish he wasn't like a manager anymore. Makes me wish he went back to writing, because I think he'd make WWE a lot better than it's now. And I think the head writer for Raw right now is the Great Khali's former manager, Rajan Singh, is that his name? And I don't know how good he's doing, but I'm not too impressed with Raw right now. I really think the Raw needs to get better writing company. I wish they would hire. Wish Paul Heyman would want to go back to writing. Now, what else can I talk about here? The one negative thing about this documentary, if I had to say anything about it, is that he spent some time talking about like I said, he left WWE in 2006, I think, and he came back in 2012. So he talked about what he did in that in-between period. So he talks about how his website, the Heyman Hustle, and stuff like that, which is kind of interesting. I just felt like they spent too much time on that. They had his business partner on camera a lot, and a little bit too much. Like, I didn't watch the documentary to see Paul Heyman's business partner. I could care less about him. I want to see more about his wrestling career. I feel like I'd rather see like a DVD extra. I mean, I guess I got to talk a little bit in the documentary just say what he was doing from 2006 to 2012. But I feel like I spent too much time on that subject. But overall, that was... Okay, I'm back. I got cut off because I'm taking too much memory space. Let me, wrap up this review of the documentary. I'll go into Blu-ray extras. Last thing I want to say about the documentary was that CM Punk, he was interviewed in this Blu-ray, and I was wondering if it was gonna be like new footage. This is footage they took of him after he left the company. And listening to the documentary, I believe that this was footage that was shot before he left the company, because he made a comment about how he saw Paul Heyman last night in Providence, Rhode Island. And I did some research. WWE did have a show in Providence, Rhode Island, on Monday Night Raw, on January 13th, so 2013. So that means he did this interview on January 14th, 2013, or 2014. Or no, wait. I might have screwed up. I got the year wrong. I don't know, but I gotta look into it, but I'm pretty sure that whenever he does interview, I think it was before he left the company. Now I gotta look into it because I put down 2013. If it was 2013, that would be a year before he left, because he left this year. But I don't know. But I think they shut this. I think they interviewed him before he left. But now I gotta check again. Okay, let's go to extras. I took the disc out so I can look at this. Here's the Blu-ray extras, and let's just say that I'll say real quick that these are good Blu-ray extras, mostly stories. They got one promo that's like Paul Heyman talking about Brock Lesnar and his streak the night after WrestleMania 30. And we got the W Network, then you can see that promo anytime you want. But the stories are pretty cool. Some of them are skippable, but I love... They got a bunch of stories about Paul Heyman. And people talk about Paul Heyman include Big Show, Jim Ross, Joey Styles, Tommy Dreamer, Beth Phoenix. They have stories about Paul Heyman. I enjoyed watching that a lot. And they got this one really cool extra where it's some footage from an old ECW probably in 2000 or 2001 when ECW was on TNN right before they closed. They're in some kind of locker room and Little Guido's trying to cut a promo and he's struggling with it, so Paul Heyman gets in front of the camera and just shows him exactly how he wants the promo to be done. And Paul Heyman does the whole promo for Little Guido, and then he showed Little Guido do it again, and he does exactly the same thing Paul Heyman just did. So that was kind of pretty interesting. And they got a lot of stuff like that in the documentary about Paul Heyman working with the talent and their promos and everything. That was really cool. And they also got a Blu-ray extra about a tour of the ECW arena, but it wasn't that great of an extra. It was like really quick, only a few minutes, but it was still kind of cool to watch. And one last few more things I gotta say about this Blu-ray, the documentary. This man was not interviewed. Nothing about WrestleMania 30 and Brock Lesnar and any streak. That was not really mentioned at all in the whole documentary. He had something in the beginning of the documentary, but like Paul Heyman didn't talk about it at all. Nothing in the documentary about CM Punk's pipe bomb promo, where he mentioned that he's a Paul Heyman guy. That was not mentioned in the documentary. But if you have the CM Punk, I think DVD or Blu-ray, one of the extras is about Paul Heyman saying where he was when that promo happened. So, and like I said, nothing about why he left WCW and why he left WWE. Alright, I think, yeah, I would say, I haven't seen the DVD, I just have the Blu-ray, and question is, do you need the Blu-ray extras, or is it okay to just have the DVD for the documentary? I would say get the Blu-ray, if it's only a couple more dollars, because, like, none of these stories are must-see, like, none of these Blu-ray exclusives are must-see, like, exclusives, but they're interesting, and I'm glad I've seen them, especially the stories, you know, from Jim Ross and Big Show and Joey Styles and Tommy Dreamer. They told some really interesting stories about Paul Heyman, so I'm glad I got for that. So if it's only a few hours more, the Blu-ray versus DVD, I would say spend an extra few dollars to get the Blu-ray. Especially the picture quality in this is amazing. Very good picture quality, this Blu-ray. So yeah, really good. I like this. Yeah, I would say it's a good Blu-ray. I haven't seen all of it yet. All I've seen is extras and the documentary. I can't wait. They got a bunch of promos here. Promos from WWE, WCW, and ECW. All Paul Heyman promos. I can't wait to see that. And they got a few matches too. So I haven't even seen any of those yet. So just seeing the Blu-ray extras and seeing the documentary. I like this so far. Really good. Check it out. I would say. Probably being one of the best WWE DVDs of the year. Okay, thanks for watching. One last thing. I mentioned in my video that CM Punk mentioned that the night before he was talking to Paul Heyman in their Providence, Rhode Island. I looked it up. That was probably January 13th, 2014. So that means CM Punk's interview footage in this documentary was before he left the company. And I think the Royal Rumble was like 2 weeks later. So he did his interview like right before he left the company. So yeah, just want to mention that before I end this video. Okay, see ya.